Greetings, fellow songwriters and seekers. My name is Tyler, and I'm here to talk to you about all things related to songwriting. And this will be as a series of questions. So I want to begin with a question today from Terry M. from Boulder, Colorado, which is an absolutely lovely town in the foothills of the Rocky Mountains. I lived there for 9 years, and I was just there recording an album at Octave Records, which is an amazing hi-fi record label, which is a benevolent force in the music industry, something very hard to find these days, as we all know, as we're constantly being tricked into getting ripped off on various different offers for musicians and songwriters to get plays and get exposure. That's a whole nother story. But anyways, Terry M. is curious and asks, where do songs come from? She says, do you hear a bird in a tree and that's something you hear and you say, oh my God, that'd make a great song? Well, yeah, it could be something like that. I've never had that experience. I've certainly heard lovely bird songs, but bird songs, I don't know, it's just, they don't necessarily translate into song ideas for me. I know other musicians and great composers have used bird songs in their classical and jazz works. But for me, it's basically like, it's just attuning yourself to the world and looking at the world from the point of view of a songwriter. So your ears are always open to possible song ideas. And hearing people talk is one thing. So for lyric ideas, you listen to conversations, certain things that people say. We all have friends that have kind of funny way of saying things. Well, think about the Beatles. A lot of their song ideas came from Ringoisms, little funny things that Ringo would say, and they'd be like, that's an idea, that's a song. It's been a hard day's night, 8 days a week. These are all famous Ringoisms. So listening to what people say, conversations, you just all of a sudden, instead of all these side conversations being a distraction and annoying to you, they are sources of inspiration and possible song ideas. I remember watching Willie Nelson on The Daily Show, and he said, they were talking about David Blaine doing a thing where he was holding his breath in front of the Met, I believe it was, in this giant ball, like this giant aquarium. And for some reason, Willie said, well, I'll hold my breath maybe just a little bit at a time, as opposed to holding it for a long amount of time. So that became a song of mine called A Little at a Time. I'll put a link to it down below so you can listen to it if you like. Also, when you're playing your instrument, you're constantly, maybe you're just messing around and you play a chord progression that you really like, okay? Or you're playing the piano and you come up with a little melody. And you're like, oh, that's nice. Well, you're going to forget these things. So the main thing as a songwriter is to start creating a bank of ideas. And that can be in the form of a little notepad, a little songwriting notepad. I have quite a few. I used to carry a little moleskin around in my coat pocket, and whenever I had an idea, I write it down. But nowadays, with our iPhones, you no longer have to have a little notepad because it's all right on your phone. You use the notes section to write down lyric ideas, or you can do everything in the voice memos or some fancier voice recording thing. So once you have all these ideas in some kind of bank, you can then start developing them. And that's where the real kind of songwriting craft gets into, and that's what we'll get into. But also, just before I go, I just want to say that dreams are also an excellent source of musical inspiration. So once you get into this mindset where you're looking for songs, and hopefully you're playing music a lot, you might get lucky enough that, maybe once a year I remember a dream and I wake up and I go, that's a song. So one example is I have a good friend and great musician, songwriter named Adam Lakes, and I had a dream about him. He was playing in a club and he was singing this song, and it went something like this. I can hold on for so long till it hurts too much to go on. So this is like a little R&B song. But I woke up from that dream and was like, oh, I'm going to go write that down. Now, it's tempting to be judgmental and decide, oh, that song's no good, or that song kind of sucks. You got to cut that out. And when you're in the ideas phase, any idea counts. And I've got thousands of ideas, and maybe 1% or 0.5% actually became songs. That song, actually, I just finished and released recently. And what I did is when I woke up from that dream, I ran to the piano because nobody was around, and I sang it and recorded it. And then I actually came up with the next section of it. And then later on I had to fill in the rest and work on arrangements and do all the other songwriting aspects to it. But that song that started in a dream could have just been lost, but I know I captured it and wrote it down. So songs come from all over the place, and you can get great inspiration for them. On the latest album I did at Octave Records is a song called Wake Up Blind, and I got that from taking an online class on John Milton where they were talking about his blindness, and when he goes to sleep at night, it's like his eyes open because his imagination can still see the world, and he can be with his beloved and actually see her face. But as soon as he wakes up, he's blind again, and the world is dark again. So I thought that's an amazing idea for a song, and so I turned that into a song. So if you want to hear that song that I had in a dream called Hold On, I'll put a link for it down in the description. And also, if you have any questions, I would love to answer them on this YouTube channel. So please email me at tyler@musemeasure.com. The email address is down below. And please, if you could, subscribe and like. All right. Have a lovely day. Until next time.